I stared at her. They said you'd take care of it. The room felt suddenly smaller. I folded the paper and placed it back on the table, carefully, like it was something fragile, but it wasn't fragile. It was heavy with assumptions. I didn't agree to this, I said quietly. Dad crossed his arms. Your family. This is what family does. That's what you decided family does, I replied. You planned everything before asking me. Mom shook her head, already frustrated. Why are you turning this into a problem? Your sister only gets married once. And I only get treated like a person if I remind you, I said calmly. Silence dropped. My sister looked uncomfortable for the first time. I thought you'd be okay with it, she muttered. That's the problem, I said. Everyone thought. No one asked. Dad's voice hardened. So you're refusing? I met his eyes. I'm refusing to be assumed. I can contribute if I choose to. I'm not funding the entire wedding because you decided I'm the responsible one. Mom sighed dramatically. You've changed. Yes, I said. I have. They had built the plan on an old version of me, the quiet one who paid, fixed, organized, absorbed, and never complained. That person didn't exist anymore. I'll help if I'm respected, I added. Not because I'm pressured, not because you already spent the money, not because you think I owe you. My sister finally looked at me directly. So what are you saying? I'm saying I'm not your bank, I said. I'm your sibling. The envelope stayed on the table. For the first time, they realized their plan had a flaw. They had assumed I would say yes. They didn't realize I had learned how to say no, without shouting, without guilt, without fear. And that quiet no was more powerful than any argument I'd ever had. After that breakfast, the house felt different. Not loud. Not explosive. Just heavy. No one shouted. No one slammed doors. They just moved around like something invisible had cracked, and they didn't know how to fix it. My sister stopped talking to me completely. Mom walked around quietly, sighing in small, performative ways. Dad barely looked at me. For years, they had been comfortable because I never challenged the role they gave me. Now that I had stepped out of it, they didn't know who they were dealing with anymore. A few days later, relatives started calling. Is it true you're paying for the wedding? I heard you're sponsoring everything. That's so generous. Your parents are so proud of you. I corrected them calmly. I'm not paying. The reactions were immediate. Shock. Confusion. Disbelief. Some said I was selfish. Some said family comes first. Some said I was being dramatic. But none of them had been asked to hand over $20,000 without consent. The pressure didn't come from shouting anymore. It came from guilt. Mom knocked on my door one evening. She sat on my bed like I was still a child. We raised you, she said softly. Is this how you repay us? I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I repay you by being your son, not your ATM, I said. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Dad tried a different approach. He didn't get angry. He got logical. You earn more than us. It's natural you help more. I help when I choose, I replied. Not when I'm assigned a bill. My sister tried guilt. I dreamed of this wedding my whole life. You're ruining it. You ruined it when you planned it with someone else's money, I said. That hurt her more than yelling ever could. Weeks passed. They downsized the wedding. Changed the venue. Cut the guest list. Suddenly, all the things they said were necessary turned out to be optional. And something interesting happened. They started treating me differently. They asked before assuming. They discussed finances instead of assigning them. They stopped announcing my decisions for me. Not because they became perfect. But because they realized I wasn't automatic anymore. One evening, my dad said quietly, "We didn't realize how much pressure we put on you." I nodded. "You didn't realize because I never stopped you." Silence again. But this silence was different. It wasn't denial. It was understanding. I didn't hate them. I didn't cut them off. I just stopped being the solution to problems I didn't create. And they finally learned that love is not measured by how much you're willing to sacrifice, but by how much you're willing to respect yourself. Meanwhile, reality began knocking on my sister's door. Vendors started asking for deposits. The venue sent reminders. The photographer asked for confirmation. And suddenly, everyone realized my no wasn't a phase. One afternoon, I heard raised voices from the kitchen. "They increased the price again," my sister snapped. "Then cut something," Mom replied, her voice tired. "But he can pay it easily." There it was again. Not we. Not she. He. I walked past without stopping. For the first time, the problem wasn't automatically mine. That evening, my sister knocked on my door. It was the first time she had spoken to me directly in days. "Can we talk?" she asked, not meeting my eyes. I nodded. She sat on the chair, arms crossed, defensive. "I didn't think this would be such a big deal," she said. "You never had a problem helping before." "That was help," I replied. "This is demand." She sighed. "I just assumed." "That's the problem," I said quietly. "You assumed my work, my time, my money were family property." She looked down. For the first time, she looked unsure. "I didn't mean it like that." "But you acted like that." Silence filled the room. "I can take a loan," she muttered. "You should," I said. "That's how responsibility works." She frowned, like the word itself was foreign. A week later, my dad called a family meeting. No shouting. No threats. Just tired adults facing a problem they could no longer outsource. "We'll reduce the wedding," he said. "Smaller venue," Mom added. "Less guests," my sister said reluctantly. No one looked at me. And that was the point. For the first time, their plans didn't revolve around my wallet. The wedding came and went. It was simpler. Smaller. Still beautiful. People laughed. Music played. My sister smiled. And guess what? The world didn't end. After everything, my mom pulled me aside. "You changed," she said. "I didn't change," I replied. "I stopped pretending." She thought about that for a long time. Months later, something subtle but important shifted in our family. They asked before expecting. They discussed instead of deciding for me. They stopped treating my success like a shared bank account. And I realized something. Saying no didn't break my family. It rebuilt the rules. Because love without boundaries isn't love. It's control. And the moment I refused to be controlled, they finally learned to respect me. I wasn't the wallet anymore. I was just their son. Their brother. A person. The ceremony started, music playing softly, guests smiling, cameras flashing. My sister walked down the aisle, not in a grand luxury hall, but in a place she had chosen because she could afford it. And somehow, that made it more real. After everything, she found me during the reception. "You know," she said quietly, holding a glass of juice, "if you had paid, I probably would have kept overspending. I wouldn't have learned anything." "That's why I didn't," I replied. She nodded slowly. "I thought you were being selfish. Now I see you were teaching me something no one else would." Across the room, my parents watched us. Not with anger. Not with pride. With something new, respect. Later that night, my dad stood beside me outside, the sound of laughter drifting through the doors. I thought saying no would tear us apart, he admitted. It didn't, I said. It just reset the rules. He looked at me for a long moment. You're not the backup plan anymore, he said quietly. I never was, I replied. I just stopped acting like one. The wedding ended. Life moved on. But something in our family stayed different. They stopped assuming. They started asking. They stopped assigning me responsibilities that weren't mine. And I learned something too. Sometimes love means helping. Sometimes love means stepping back. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and others, is say no. They thought my refusal would destroy everything. Instead, it finally taught everyone how to stand on their own.